Denver cost of living, the highs, the lows, what value do you get with it, the pros, the cons, that's what we're talking about today. Hey everybody, it's Alyson with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. Today we're going to dig in on rent prices, transportation, groceries, housing costs, of course, and more. To keep things a little interesting, we're going to compare Denver to Salt Lake City. I considered looking at Boise. Boise's just a little too small. Salt Lake City is at least somewhat similar to Denver, and a lot of times people who are looking to come out this way are looking at other mountain towns for the lifestyle, and Salt Lake City often makes the cut. So we're going to compare these two as well as national data where it fits and see where Denver ranks. Let's jump in with the fun stuff: entertainment, lifestyle. Movie tickets in Denver, they run about $15. You head over to Salt Lake City, you're gonna get a movie ticket for about $11. If you're a fitness guru and you want a yoga membership, it's gonna run about $140 a month here in Denver. You're gonna be closer to maybe $90 or $100 in Salt Lake City. Of course, here in Denver, we have yoga at Red Rocks that is free. So maybe you could take that option instead and put that money towards something else. When it comes to food costs, the debate was back and forth as to which city had better food prices. I went to my online Walmart account, I shopped a bunch of groceries, I compared each. It really came out the same. Now that could be because I was doing online shopping, but a lot of people do that these days. Now, when I went to some other sites and portals, I was seeing that Denver might be about 4% more expensive, but then we also have a tax in Utah on groceries that we don't have here in Denver or in Colorado at all. Utah puts a 3% tax on food. So really, I do think the two places are about the same when it comes to groceries. Now, eating out, whole different thing. I went to brunch places. I looked online at Starbucks, at Chick-fil-A. I definitely see a difference. Starbucks, they're the same, at least when I'm ordering online. Chick-fil-A, I was seeing that Denver was about $1 more per packaged meal, not per entree, but when you put the whole thing together, it's a little more here in the Denver market. When you pick a brunch spot and you just want to get a stack of pancakes, it's about 33% more here in Denver than in Salt Lake. Denver gets a leg up. We get the win in the gas price category. When we took a snapshot from AAA recently of where gas prices were, Denver came in at $3.37, Salt Lake came in at $3.58, and the national average was just $3.51. If you use public transit, you definitely have options in both cities. Ticket prices are about the same in each place. You're going to find a more robust system here in Denver, I would say. It's going to give you light rail options to the airport, light rail options to Arvada out to the west. We are moving our light rail system and expanding it quite a bit. However, if you come from a large city, you come from New York, you come from Chicago, or you have spent any time overseas, Denver is still abysmal, and I don't think you'll be any more impressed in Salt Lake City. It's just not a system that is going to allow you to get rid of your vehicle and do without. All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. Renting, owning utilities here in the Denver market. I can't sugarcoat it. It comes in as no surprise. Denver is going to be most expensive. Median rent in Denver, $2,250 a month. Median rent in Salt Lake City, $1,650 a month. National median rent, a low $1,411. Denver doesn't come in too bad for utilities. Our average bill is around $147 a month for electricity. Based on data I find, Salt Lake fares a little worse, almost $200 a month on average. These are not including water bills, and water even across the Denver metro area varies so much. In one town, you could have multiple water districts. They may bill you differently. An example, if you've watched any of my videos, is looking at Sterling Ranch in Littleton. Yet if you're in a different part of Littleton that's been established since the 70s, you're gonna pay so much less for the water in those older homes than you are in Sterling Ranch where you have new construction. Something else we're seeing newer in the Denver market is demand-based pricing on our electricity, where the companies are charging more based on the time of day. That's happening with at least one energy provider in Utah as well. So over time, we may see that our bills are increasing. Most residents aren't thinking it's going to decrease our bills. So we'll see how that pans out. But overall, Denver tends to have pretty low utility bills compared to most of the rest of the country. Anybody who's coming here from elsewhere finds that they really see a decrease in their bills as of now. Internet and cell phone bills really don't see much difference between either location. Internet's running about $60 a month for baseline service here in Denver, probably about $55 a month for baseline service in Salt Lake. Cell phone coverage, my opinion is it's too expensive and too spotty for the big cities that we are in. If you're coming from somewhere else where you're in a large multi-million person metropolis and you have great coverage, rarely drops, is rarely garbled, you will be surprised at what you get here in Denver, and I'm gonna guess it's probably pretty similar in Salt Lake. I have not spent enough time in Salt Lake to form an opinion there, but with the rolling terrain we have here in Denver, there is just a lot of interference. There is a lot of pushback on where new towers can go. The providers don't share, obviously, a lot of pushback on 5G. And we get some really shoddy service in areas that would surprise you. And then you can be out in the middle of nowhere between the city and the mountains and have the most amazing service because the tower they put out there can reach for miles and miles and miles and miles. So just expect that for all that you're paying on your cell phone bill, you may be frustrated with the service sometimes here. All right, moving on from my impassioned aside about cell phone coverage. Median single family home price in Denver, $657,000 right now. Median single family home price in Salt Lake City, $600,000. And nationally, oh gosh, don't I wish this was here in the Denver market, $432,700. So with Denver's median home prices outpacing the national median home price by 52%, our reputation holds up. We are an expensive city to live in. Not the most, but we certainly are one of them. When comparing Denver to Salt Lake City, though, that housing gap narrows. Denver only outpaces Salt Lake City by 9.5%. So if you were to tell me one city is 10% more expensive in housing to live in than another, my first question is going to be, okay, well, is it going to pay more? Is it going to cover the gap? Let's dig into those numbers. Here's how the median household incomes stack up. Denver comes in at $99,000. Salt Lake City comes in at $90,000. And nationally, the median household income is $75,000. This puts the median household income in Denver at 9.2% higher than in Salt Lake City, almost fully covering that gap from the housing difference. And then the average salary in Denver is actually 12% higher than that in Salt Lake City. As a quick aside, for those of you that might have been trying to do the quick math between the median salary nationally and Denver's median salary, that difference was 33%, which means Denver's improved salary over the national median still doesn't cover the gap for how much more our housing costs here. One more thing we have not talked about when comparing Denver to Salt Lake are property taxes. I have seen some agents in Salt Lake City say things about how Salt Lake is just so great on property taxes and it's even better than Colorado. I'll tell you, I love to talk about property taxes here. I get a lot of folks coming from Texas, from California, where they really feel overwhelmed and burdened by property taxes. So I spent quite a bit of time digging into Utah property taxes, and I will not call myself an expert on theirs, but from everything I can see, our states are on par. They are friends and buddies with each other. So if you are looking at these two places and trying to figure out what's going to work for you, you can kind of push property taxes to the side. They really shake out to just be about the same. Our state averages are running in roughly the 0.5% range. When you get into the specifics of different neighborhoods, you're going to see taxes that are higher than that. The newer the construction here in the Denver market, it's going to be even higher than that. But you can certainly find places where your property taxes can be very low, extremely palatable, and can keep your carrying costs low looking forward. If the mountains are calling and you must go, I hope this was helpful. If you'd like a personal call to chat more about Denver, please reach out. You know, I'd always love to connect. And I will see y'all next week.